The security guard's hand grabs Marcus Johnson's shoulder before he can even reach the exit. "Stop right there, thief!" The accusation explodes through the store like a gunshot. Shoppers freeze. Phones rise to record. Another black man, being publicly criminalized. Blood pounds in Marcus's ears as he stands surrounded. The gift headphones for his daughter's graduation still in their branded shopping bag. Receipt tucked inside. 15 years on the police force taught him to remain composed in crisis, but nothing prepared him for being on this side of an accusation. The humiliation burns through his practiced calm. "Empty your pockets, all of them, now." Security guard Kevin Reynolds towers over him, voice deliberately loud enough to create a spectacle. The manager approaches, already assuming guilt. Her eyes avoiding direct contact as if Marcus's presumed criminality might be contagious. "There's been a mistake," Marcus says, his voice steady despite the rage and shame colliding inside him. The crowd grows larger, hungrier for drama, their phones capturing what they assume will be another viral moment of justice served. What no one realizes, what the overzealous security guard doesn't know, is who Marcus Johnson really is. In exactly 90 seconds, a revelation will unfold that will cost someone their job, transform store policy forever, and deliver the kind of poetic justice that rarely happens in real life. The security guard smirks, certain of his power. He has no idea he's just made the worst mistake of his career. The Highland Mall department store gleams with privilege. Polished marble floors reflect the soft ambient lighting. Classical music flows through hidden speakers, complemented by the subtle notes of an expensive fragrance being sprayed nearby. It's a temple of affluence where customers browse $500 handbags and designer clothing with casual indifference. Marcus Johnson doesn't belong here, not according to the sidelong glances from sales associates who track his movements through the electronics section. He's dressed well. Tailored gray slacks, a navy button-down, leather shoes that shine, with care. But his skin tone makes him an anomaly among the predominantly white clientele who float between displays without scrutiny. He moves with a quiet confidence, a residual habit from his years as Sergeant Johnson of the Metropolitan Police. His eyes automatically catalog exits, security cameras, and potential blind spots, professional assessment embedded in his muscle memory. He examines a pair of premium wireless headphones, handling them with precision, reading specifications thoroughly. His daughter Aisha is graduating summa cum laude next week. She deserves something special. Kevin Reynolds watches from Security Monitor Station 3. 28 years old, 2 years on the job, still eager to prove himself to management. His posture remains rigid as he follows Marcus's movements, radioing to another guard. Subject moving to checkout, African-American male, mid-40s. Navy shirt, keep eyes on him. Lisa Wilson, store manager, stands at the customer service counter. 42. Blonde bob cut perfectly straight, designer suit that signals authority. Her tight smile never reaches her eyes as she greets. Preferred customers. She values order and appearances above all. "I'll take these," Marcus tells the cashier, placing the headphones on the counter. The young woman barely makes eye contact as she processes the $349 purchase. Marcus notices her discomfort, but says nothing. He presents his credit card, assigns the electronic pad, accepts the receipt with polite thanks. The cashier drops his purchase into the store's distinctive silver bag. As Marcus walks toward the exit, he feels Kevin's presence behind him. The hairs on his neck rise, an instinct honed from years on patrol. He senses the confrontation before it happens, mentally preparing himself for what's coming next. He continues walking, maintaining his dignity, even as he notices other security personnel moving to position themselves near the exits. The trap is closing around him, but Marcus remains calm, calculating. Old habits die hard. He's assessing the situation just as he would have done in uniform, except now he's the target, not the officer in charge. "Sir, I need you to—" "Stop right there." Kevin's voice carries an aggressive edge that cuts through the store's ambient sounds. He steps directly into Marcus's path, hand hovering near the walkie-talkie on his hip. Loss prevention. We need to check your bag. And pockets. Nearby shoppers slow their pace, attention captured by the unfolding drama. Marcus feels their stares like physical pressure against his skin. Is there a problem? Marcus asks, keeping his voice level despite the surge of adrenaline. We have reason to believe you've concealed merchandise. Kevin's voice rises, deliberately public. Empty your pockets and open your bag. Now. A small crowd begins to form around them. Marcus notices a woman pull her purse closer to her body, as if his alleged criminality might be contagious. A teenage boy raises his phone, camera already recording. The humiliation is being documented in real time. I paid for these headphones. The receipt is in the bag. Marcus reaches slowly toward the silver shopping bag. Don't move, Kevin snaps, his hand now firmly on Marcus's forearm. Keep your hands where I can see them. The physical contact sends a wave of indignation through Marcus's body. In 15 years of law enforcement, he had always maintained professional distance during stops. This was intentional intimidation. Lisa Wilson approaches, her heels clicking purposefully against the marble. What seems to be the issue? She asks, addressing Kevin rather than Marcus. Suspected shoplifting. Electronics department. Kevin sounds proud, as if he's caught a criminal mastermind rather than a paying customer. Sir, we take theft very seriously at Highland, Lisa says, finally acknowledging Marcus with a cold stare. If you cooperate now, we might not need to involve the police. The irony of her statement burns in Marcus's chest. The crowd has grown to nearly 20 people, their murmurs creating a soundtrack to his humiliation. I have the receipt. Right here, Marcus insists, his dignity eroding with each passing second. I'm a paying customer. That's what they all say. Someone whispers loudly enough to be heard. Kevin proceeds to physically search Marcus, patting down his sides with unnecessary force, checking each pocket while making a show of it. He empties Marcus's wallet onto a nearby counter, inspecting each card and compartment. The invasion feels violent in its disregard for his humanity. A security guard pulls the headphones from the bag, examining them as if they must be counterfeit. Another guard arrives as backup, creating a wall of uniforms surrounding Marcus. Should we call the police? Aunt Lisa asks Kevin, her voice carrying just enough for the gathering audience to hear. I am considering it, Kevin replies, making a show of deliberation. We have a zero-tolerance policy. Marcus stands surrounded, his purchase in the hands of strangers, his personal belongings scattered across a counter, cameras recording his humiliation from multiple angles. The weight of judgment presses down on him from all sides. His police training had never prepared him for this kind of powerlessness, this public stripping of dignity. Then, from the edge of the growing crowd, an elderly white woman with silver hair narrows her eyes, studying Marcus's face with unexpected recognition. Her brow furrows as she tilts her head, trying to place him. Something about her attentive gaze suggests the dynamics of this confrontation might soon shift. Commander William Harris detects the disturbance before he sees it. 30 years. In law enforcement gives you a sixth sense for trouble. He's shopping for his wife's anniversary gift when the shift in energy draws his attention to the store's entrance. Standing at 6'2" with military posture, William navigates through the crowd with practiced ease. His silver hair and weathered face command respect without effort. At 63, retirement hasn't diminished his authoritative presence. His eyes, still sharp beneath heavy brows, take in the scene with professional assessment. When he recognizes Marcus at the center of the commotion, William pauses. His former subordinate, one of the best officers he'd ever commanded, stands surrounded, enduring a public degradation that makes William's jaw clench. For a moment, he considers whether to intervene or let Marcus handle it himself. The younger man had always been capable, composed under pressure. But something about the security guard's posture, the unnecessarily aggressive stance, the hand hovering too close to Marcus's face, decides for him. William watches for precisely 30 seconds, cataloguing the violations of proper procedure, the escalation tactics being deployed against a cooperative subject. William moves through the crowd like water finding its path. Shoppers instinctively step aside, responding to something primal in his bearing. He positions himself strategically, not directly beside Marcus, but at an angle that allows him to observe all parties while establishing his presence in the confrontation. He doesn't immediately identify himself. Instead, he observes the security guard's performance with clinical detachment, noting how the young man seems to be playing to the audience rather than following security protocols. The store manager stands by, complicit in her silence. The injustice of it settles in William's gut like a stone. The security guard reaches for his radio, presumably to call for police backup. The moment feels perfectly choreographed for maximum dramatic effect. "You really want to continue with this?" William's voice cuts through the tension, measured, and calm, yet somehow filling the entire space. The question hangs in the air, simple yet loaded with unspoken authority. The crowd falls silent. The security guard's hand freezes mid-gesture. The manager turns toward this new voice, uncertainty crossing her face. And Marcus, recognizing the voice immediately, exhales slowly, his shoulders relaxing almost imperceptibly. Something in the atmosphere has shifted. No one quite understands why, but everyone feels it. The balance of power has suddenly, mysteriously changed. William steps forward, positioning himself not between Marcus and the security personnel, but in a triangular formation that subtly alters the power dynamic. He doesn't touch anyone or raise his voice. He simply occupies space with intention. "I've been watching this situation unfold for the past few minutes," William says, his voice carrying the weight of decades of command. "And I'm curious about your store's approach to customer service." Kevin's confidence falters momentarily before he reasserts himself. "This is a security matter, sir. I'm going to have to ask you to step back. 15 years serving this city," William continues, as if Kevin hadn't spoken, his eyes moving briefly to Marcus. "Over 200 theft arrests, Distinguished Service Medal, and now you're being accused of stealing headphones." His gaze returns to Kevin. "The irony would be amusing if it weren't so painful. Wouldn't you agree, Sergeant Johnson?" But the title lands in the space between them like a dropped stone. Confusion ripples through the onlookers. The manager's eyes widen slightly. "I'm sorry. Who are you?" Lisa interjects, professional smile straining. "Just a concerned." "Citizen Dar," William replies, "who happened to observe this gentleman select those headphones, proceed to the register, pay for them with his credit card, and receive a receipt, which raises an interesting question." He turns to Kevin. "Did you verify the receipt before initiating this public detention?" Kevin shifts his weight. "Shoplifters often create diversions. They'll buy one item to conceal others." "Is that so?" William's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "And what specifically did you observe being concealed?" "His behavior was suspicious," Kevin insists, voice rising slightly. "Suspicious. Behavior," William repeats thoughtfully. "Could you articulate the specific behaviors that triggered your suspicion for training purposes?" Kevin's face flushes. He was examining items closely. "Reading product specifications." William. "Correct. He was watching the security cameras. Situational awareness. He didn't engage with sales staff. Focused shopping." With each exchange, Kevin's certainty visibly erodes. The crowd has grown silent, following the verbal sparring. Like a tennis match. Marcus remains dignified in his silence, allowing William's methodical dismantling to proceed. Lisa attempts to regain control. "Sir, we appreciate your concern, but our security team is trained to verify purchases before detaining customers," William interrupts. "Because that hasn't happened here. What has happened is a public detention without probable cause, conducted in a manner designed to humiliate rather than verify. He gestures toward the scattered contents of Marcus's wallet. Is this standard procedure for all your customers, or just specific ones? The implication hangs heavily in the air. Several onlookers shift uncomfortably. Perhaps, William continues, his tone softening dangerously. We should discuss identification. He turns to Marcus. Do you still carry your badge, Sergeant? For the first time since William's arrival, Marcus speaks. Former sergeant, he corrects quietly. Once an officer, always an officer, William replies. Especially one of your caliber. Kevin's face pales as understanding begins to dawn. Lisa steps closer, alarm replacing her professional detachment. Before you make that call to the police, William says, nodding toward Kevin's hand still hovering near his radio, you might want to consider something rather important. He pauses, timing his words for maximum impact. You're already speaking to law enforcement. In fact, you've been detaining, searching, and publicly humiliating a decorated police officer for the past 15 minutes. A collective gasp rises from the crowd. Someone whispers, "Oh shit." Phones rise. Higher, recording more eagerly than before. The confrontation has just become something entirely different. I believe, William continues with deadly calm, that you've made a significant error in judgment today. Former Sergeant Marcus Johnson, William announces, his voice carrying to the furthest spectators, served 15 years with Metropolitan Police, specialized in community outreach and retail crime prevention. Marcus reluctantly reaches into his back pocket, removing a slim leather wallet. He flips it open to reveal a police identification card alongside a private security consultant license. The store's overhead lights catch the metallic gleam of his old badge, still kept alongside his civilian ID. I don't understand, Kevin stammers, eyes fixed on the credentials. If you're police, why didn't you say something immediately? Because, Marcus finally speaks, his voice measured and dignified. I shouldn't have to present a badge to receive basic human respect. No one should. Lisa's professional composure crumbles as she processes the implications. We had no way of knowing. That's precisely the point, William interrupts. You never gave him the opportunity to explain before escalating to detention and search. You observed a black man shopping for premium merchandise and made assumptions that guided your actions. The crowd's energy shifts palpably. Whispers cascade through the onlookers. Several shoppers lower their phones, suddenly uncomfortable with their role as spectators to humiliation. But that's not even the most interesting part, William continues, allowing a moment of silence to build anticipation. Marcus isn't just any former officer. For the past 3 years, he's been running Johnson's security consultants. Kevin's confusion is plainly visible. Mr. Johnson specializes in retail security assessment, William explains. His firm evaluates security protocols, identifies vulnerabilities, and trains staff in proper engagement techniques that balance loss prevention with customer dignity. Lisa's face drains of color as understanding dawns. Are you saying? Highland Corporate hired him last month, Marcus confirms quietly. I'm conducting assessments of all regional locations. This store was scheduled for evaluation next week. He gestures at the scattered contents of his wallet. That's why I was studying your camera placements and security positioning. Kevin takes an involuntary step backward. The realization of what he's done, who he's done it to, registers on his face like a physical blow. The corporate evaluation was supposed to be anonymous, Marcus adds. Though I suppose we've moved past that now. Someone in the crowd laughs, a short, shocked sound quickly stifled. The security team exchanges alarmed glances. Lisa's professional mask has completely fallen away, revealing naked panic beneath. William places a steadying hand on Marcus's shoulder. Last year, Marcus received the Community Bridge Award for his program teaching law enforcement and private security how to address implicit bias in their practices. His training module has been adopted by 37 police departments nationwide. A woman in the crowd calls out, "That's why you looked familiar. I saw you on the morning news last month." Marcus looks directly into the camera of the nearest phone recording the scene. His gaze is steady, penetrating through the lens. To whoever might eventually watch this footage. And this, he says with quiet intensity, is exactly why that training is necessary. The simple statement lands with devastating impact. Several phones lower, their owners suddenly ashamed of their eagerness to capture his humiliation. Others continue recording, recognizing the significance of what's unfolding. Lisa attempts damage control. "Mr. Johnson, please accept our deepest apologies. This is not representative of Highland's values or protocols. I assure you." "Yes, we'll take immediate—" "This is precisely representative of your protocols," Marcus corrects her gently. "That's the entire problem. And it's exactly what my assessment would have identified, had I been allowed to complete my shopping without incident." Kevin stares at the floor, his entire body language transformed from authoritative to defeated. His career, he realizes, has just imploded spectacularly on dozens of recording devices, and he has no one to blame but himself. The aftermath unfolds with swift efficiency. A senior manager appears, summoned by urgent calls from Lisa. Kevin is quietly escorted to the back offices. Security personnel hurriedly return Marcus's belongings with mumbled apologies. The crowd begins to disperse, though many linger, watching the resolution with invested interest. "Corporate will be in contact immediately," the senior manager assures Marcus, her voice tight with professional panic. "We value your expertise and deeply regret this unfortunate incident." "Unfortunate incident," William repeats with quiet emphasis. An interesting way to describe racial profiling and public humiliation. Marcus raises a hand slightly, a subtle gesture asking William to ease back. He's handled this type of damage control countless times before, from both sides. "I don't want compensation," Marcus states clearly. "And I don't want the security officer fired." Surprise registers on several faces. "What I want," Marcus continues, "is structural change. Implement proper training. Review your engagement protocols. Establish clear verification procedures. Before escalation." The manager nods earnestly, relief flooding her features at this unexpected grace. William stands slightly apart, watching Marcus with quiet pride. When the managers retreat to make their urgent calls, he moves closer. "You always were too forgiving," William says softly. "Not forgiveness," Marcus corrects. Strategy. Firing Kevin doesn't fix the system that produced him. William nods, then unexpectedly shares, "I watched you face this same treatment when you were in uniform. Outside jurisdictions, off-duty. The look in their eyes when they realized they'd profiled a police officer." His voice thickens. "It never got easier to witness." This moment of vulnerability from his former commander catches Marcus off guard. The shared acknowledgement of wounds typically left unspoken between them. The following day, Marcus returns to the store by invitation. Kevin is there, ashen-faced, expecting termination. Instead, Marcus offers something unexpected. "You're going to help me design a training program for Highland. Your experience today, what you got wrong and why, becomes the teaching tool." Kevin looks up, disbelief warring with tentative hope. "Transformation requires honesty," Marcus explains. "Your mistakes, publicly acknowledged, will impact others more powerfully than your dismissal ever could." 3 weeks later, the training program launches. Kevin stands before his peers, recounting his errors with painful honesty. Marcus guides the session, transforming humiliation into education, mistake into opportunity. In the final module, Marcus addresses the assembled security team directly. The uniform, whether police blue or security black, doesn't exempt you from humanity's shared blindness, but it does multiply your responsibility to see clearly. Every person who walks through those doors deserves the same respect, the same presumption of innocence, the same dignity. Not because they might secretly be someone important, but because dignity isn't earned, it's inherent. As the training concludes, Marcus presents Kevin with a certificate of completion. Their handshake, photographed for the company newsletter. It becomes symbolic of something larger than either of them. Sometimes, Marcus tells the assembled team, justice isn't about punishing those who err. It's about transforming the systems that allow errors to become standard practice. Marcus's story transformed one department store. Imagine what stories like his could transform in your community. We all witness moments of injustice, some dramatic, others subtle. The security guard making assumptions, the server ignoring certain customers, the teacher calling on the same hands repeatedly. Small moments that reveal larger patterns. Have you witnessed discrimination and remained silent? What held you back? Fear of confrontation, uncertainty about what to say, the comfortable fiction that it wasn't your problem to solve. Next time you observe that moment of injustice, remember Marcus and William. Remember that intervention doesn't require a badge or authority, only the courage to calmly question what others accept without thinking. Share in the comments one specific action you commit to taking when you witness unfairness in your daily life. Your voice matters more than you realize. Don't wait to be the hero or the victim. The time for change is now.